Welcome back to Prospects Overload. It has been a very, very, very long time. Sorry about that. Austin and I both got very busy with school. It has been what 7 months now, Austin?
Yeah, 7 months, and a lot's happened in between those 7 months, so that's for sure.
A lot has happened. But anyway, as you guys all know, my name is Drake Mann, the lovely host of Prospects Overload. My co-host Austin Farmer. Austin, say hi.
What's up, everybody? I'm Austin Farmer, as Drake has mentioned, but don't buy into his BS. He's just joking about being lovely.
You know, Austin, words hurt. All
I
right.
know that was intended to hurt.
All right. Okay. I'm not going to mention 2011. Oh, too late. Okay. But anyway, Austin, we do have a special guest today. He is not only one of our newer writers, but he is an up and comer in the scouting industry. Let's welcome Michael. Michael, introduce yourself, buddy.
What's going on, everybody? Michael Murray here. I'm really excited to be able to join you guys. Yeah, no, I'm not too much to say about me. I'm a big baseball guy, big Red Sox fan, and yeah, like I said, just getting really excited to get going here, and glad to be able to join you guys. And I'm also I can't believe you actually went to 2011 because I think Austin's a Rangers fan. Like that's a blow the belt.
That's what Drake does. He takes cheap shots.
I mean, that hurt me, and I wasn't even involved in that.
I
But I did
mean,
watch
I
it.
mean,
But
Michael,
anyway,
all you have to say is 2013 to me. So,
good point.
yeah. But
But anyway,
anyway, to start us off, this is one of our more, people do like to hear what we say when we have this, but start bench cut. And because we're bringing it back, we have a new year, 2024. Instead of doing one like we normally do, Austin, I decided to do three. And they're all the teams that we love. So one Red Sox, one Rangers, and one Cardinals. And
Yeah,
to start, we have a start bench cut for the Red Sox of Roman Anthony. I'm going to butcher this name, and I'm so sorry to that player, but Sadian Rafaela and Miguel Bleis. I'll let Michael go ahead and go first here because he's the Red Sox fan. So, Michael, take it away.
yeah, this one's tough. This definitely took me a few looks and a few Google searches just to kind of get all my ducks in a row. But I'm gonna start Roman Anthony. I'm going to bench Miguel Bleis, and I'm going to cut Sedan Rafaela. I think that's the I like. I mean, if you ask me that next week, the answer is probably different. But I think Anthony is the best, like pure hitter of those three. I'm still a little concerned about Rafaela's swing and miss, and I think Blyce, as he continues to grow, can pretty much turn into what Rafaela is now times like two, just given his bat speed and his athleticism. So yeah, I'm gonna start Roman Anthony. I'm gonna bench Blyce, and I'm gonna cut Rafaela.
that's pretty interesting because I would have started Blyce, benched Anthony, and cut Rafael as well. And as you mentioned, Blyce has the bat speed and athleticism, and that's why I would start him over Anthony. But like you said, it could change in a week.
Yeah, Austin, but you got to remember Roman Anthony. What was he? 19, and he already debuted in Double A,
That is
something
true.
like that.
That is
That's crazy because we're actually gonna be talking about a player who also was way younger than the competition and also performed later in this episode. But I'm probably gonna agree with my man Michael over there with Roman Anthony, Miguel Bleis, and Rafaela getting the cut. I have heard a lot of Red Sox fans do want Rafaela to get traded. Now I don't know what that's all about, but
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of Red Sox fans just want us to trade all our prospects and try and field a team this year because they're sick of coming in last place. I can't really blame them for that because I don't like to come in last place either. But love them or hate them, Heim Bloom did a pretty good job building up the farm system. So I'm really excited to see a lot of these guys. I mean, obviously we've already seen Rafaela, but really excited to see some of these guys get their chance in the next few years. So yeah, I mean, who knows? The way Breslow's got things going, he could trade anybody at any point. But I'd like to see Rafael hang around.
Yeah, and the Red Sox pretty much stole my favorite player from the Cardinals. Yeah, I don't really know how I feel about that. Now they have to get a Tyler O'Neill Red Sox jersey, but yeah, Austin, do you have anything else to say?
No, I think we're good there.
All right, well, Austin, just because I like to see you suffer, the Rangers edition is probably the toughest of the three because two of the three are already pretty much going to be in the majors in 2024. I'm pretty confident with saying that. So it's between Evan Carter, Wyatt Langford, and Anthony Gutierrez.
Yeah, you definitely made this one tough on me, and I don't like you for that. But I'm gonna have to go with starting Evan Carter. And my reasoning behind that is you can't deny his approach during the postseason, even if the batting average wasn't super high. The fact that he was taking all those full count walks and he performed after he got called up, it's hard not to notice that. Although Langford does have a higher ceiling, I feel, with plus hit plus power, I'm going to start Carter over him anyway. Again, this could also change in like 2 months because Langford does have a really good shot at debuting out of spring training. But I'm going to bench Langford and then cut Gutierrez. Gutierrez in 2023 didn't show a ton of power. I don't think I saw him hit a single home run. He did show good gap. He's got good athleticism, good defender, good defense. But yeah, I think he's a guy who could explode this season. So, it's hard to cut him. But between those three, that's what I'm going with.
All right, Michael.
I am in complete agreement with Austin on that one. Start Carter, bench Langford, and cut Gutierrez. And he actually took my main reason as well with the discipline that he showed, especially being obviously in the World Series last year, which obviously I think made it a little tough to kind of compare the three, given that Carter was literally in the heart of the Rangers lineup down the stretch last year. But still, yeah, Carter starting Carter, benching Langford. I'm still a little wary about the swing and miss in his game, and then cutting Gutierrez. Yeah, but Austin pretty much said everything I was going to say. So
All right, so you guys are in tandem over there, but I'm about to break that tandem because I'm starting Langford. I'm on the Langford train. I know Austin kind of got me there when we saw him at a complex league. We actually I won't spoil that yet. We'll go ahead and talk about that later. But I'm starting Wyatt Langford. The guy just got drafted last year. He's already going to be in AAA and possibly in the majors by this upcoming season. The bat speed's there, gap to gap power, over the fence power. He's everything that you want in a prospect and then some. And I know what Evan Carter did in the postseason, but can we just admit one thing? How is it fair that the Rangers got both these guys in their lineup right now? Like, how is that fair? And they just won the World Series.
You missed my evil laugh there, but I just did a more.
you make a good point.
But yeah, no, the Rangers did a really good job with the draft, and when they picked Langford, it was honestly, I mean, not by total surprise, he was the best option available, but I think a lot of Rangers fans were kind of split between Max Clark and Walker Jenkins, thinking that Langford would already be taken by that point. So Langford definitely added so much more depth, and yeah, I mean, Adolis is probably going to be gone in a couple of seasons. I imagine that he will leave free agency or something. I can't say for certain, but that would open up the spot. Leote is probably going to be gone in a year or two. So an outfield with Langford and Evan Carter is going to be awesome.
And also what you were saying about Anthony Gutierrez too. Like I got to catch him a little bit at Complex League because he spent some time out here when he was hurt, right, Austin?
Yeah, it was a rehab assignment. And yeah, Gutierrez is a guy who could have a really big 2024. I just didn't see any power whenever I was watching the Down East streams. So I am concerned there. I do think that it'll develop. He's got really good athleticism. So if he could end up being the third outfielder in like five years or so, so that's a really, really strong outfield potentially.
Oh, 100%. And yeah, Gutierrez just shows a lot of promise as well. Like one of our, I wouldn't say one of our more popular videos that we posted on our from ACL was one that I got of his open side swing in slow motion. That was absolutely beautiful. And if he can continue to build off that, like my God, that is not a fair outfield whatsoever.
Michael, you got anything?
No, you guys are pretty much taking or making every point that I had. I had a few written down as well, but no, I think it's an interesting point about what you said about Langford, about him being the best available. I think that's sometimes teams kind of go away from that strategy in the draft, and I never understand why, because this is the one sport that you can kind of
Chicago Cubs.
and you can, yeah, exactly, and you can kind of like, you can afford to. I mean, hell, look at the Red Sox the last 3 years in the draft. They've taken more shortstops than I can count. But now here we are. We got Marcelo Mayer and Nick York and all these young middle infielders coming up through the system. And like, it's a good problem to have. And I think the Rangers use that exact strategy, taking a guy like Langford. And now, as you guys have both laid out, like this is where we're at now. Their outfield is set for the next 5-6 years at the least.
I didn't mean to cut you off there when I said the Chicago Cubs, but Austin and I have talked about this countless times that the Cubs and a few other teams do this, so it's not just the Cubs fans, but they draft the riskiest players.
Yes,
Like
100%.
Ed Howard is one of those guys. Very risky. Ryan Jensen, very
Nazir
risky.
Mule.
Yeah, there's another one. Like Ryan Jensen, I think just got tossed around to 3 team. I think he just got picked up by the Twins, so he's like on his third team now or fourth team. So like it works sometimes, but then sometimes the other times it just does not work whatsoever.
Yeah, no, 100%.
But anyway, now we go to the Cardinals edition, and this one was kind of personal for me because what do the Cardinals love more than anything?
Pitching.
It's college pitching or pitching of some sort. So the Cardinals, when they traded Jordan Montgomery, got a prospect package of Thomas Sagasi, Tekoa Roby, and John King, who really isn't a prospect anymore, but he's still a relief pitcher. And he's the first guy that I listed here as Tekoa Roby, Cooper Jerpy, and Max Radget. Austin, how do you say that?
I'm pretty sure it's Raychick.
Raychick. Sorry if we say that wrong, but I will go first on this one. Just so I can break the ice on this bold take. I'm starting Cooper Jerpy, benching Max Radjic, and cutting Tekoa Roby. And there's nothing against Tekoa Roby. The stuff is there. Everything is there for him to be a very solid arm for the Cardinals. The one thing that worries me is the injury history. That is so worrisome. And you could say the same about Cooper Jerpy too. But I feel like Jerpy's the more safe arm out of these three. But Roby, stuff is there. I just think there's so much injury risk and reliever risk with him that you got to cut him out of these three.
And see, I kind of disagree with you there. I think Raychick, as of right now, might be the safest arm. So that's why I would start him. I would bench Jerpy. I do like Jerpy's ceiling a lot better than Raychick, but Raychick has performed and he has got a really nice curveball. I mean, Jerpy has at least a plus slider, but I really like Raychick slightly better than Jerpy. I think the safety net is slightly higher. So he just has an advantage, and 100% agree with you on your take about Roby. Since he did come from the Rangers, I did see a little bit of him. And yeah, like you said, all this stuff is there. He has the potential to be a very good arm. It's just he gets injured and injured and injured that, between the three, you got to cut him.
Michael, let's hear your take on this one. Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat as Drake. I'm starting Jerpy, I'm benching Raychick, and I'm cutting Roby, and it pretty much for the same reason. Like the injury history for Roby is unfortunate. I have read a few things on him that the Cardinals organization is very high on him. and they're working with him a lot to try and bring him back to full strength. But it doesn't take much for for a guy with an injury history like that to kind of get right back, pop right back on the shelf. So I like Raychik. I like, I think there's some mechanical work to be done there. I think he can do a lot better getting into his lower half and kind of driving off the mount a little bit. He's very upper body. He favors it heavily in his delivery. But I think there's, like, as you guys both said, there's a little more upside there, and obviously not the injury pass. And then Jerby, I'm a sucker for a lefty that kind of drops it down a little bit, but the stuff's there. From what I've seen, I think the command's getting there at least. So yeah, I'm starting him. That was probably my easiest start decision of these three if I had to pick.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because we were actually talking about Raychik a little bit, Austin and I kind of comped him to Joe Blanton with the mechanics a little bit.
If you absolutely see that,
dude, it looks so similar the way that they throw. And Joe Blanton, if that's Max Rajcic or Raychik in 2-3 years, I will take that if I'm a Cardinals fan.
And like I told you, I think Raychik has a little bit more effort than Blanton does, but yeah, the mechanics are very similar.
Yeah, no, 100%. Definitely with that, kind of they keep the hands high throughout the delivery, and like I said, a lot of upper body. And, I say like he can use his lower body more. Like he still is in his delivery. It just doesn't show as much, but I still think there's more there to unlock, which obviously just comes with age and getting older and getting stronger.
Reps too.
Right. And so, but I definitely see the Blanton comp. That's a perfect comparison.
Thank you. I know I am perfect. I know.
Well, now I regret saying it, but
thank you, Michael.
Well, anyway, let's move on from start bench cut. That was a very very hot takey conversation. And now we go to my favorite part of this show, stat of the day. Are either of you really familiar with weighted stolen base runs?
Well, I am now after you explained it to me last week.
Yeah, Michael? I'm gonna be honest, didn't really know this was a stat, but I kind of looked a little bit further into it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm still a little fuzzy, but it sounds cool. I'm a sucker for anything that has weighted in front of it.
So pretty much for the people that don't really know what this stat is, it pretty much takes the value or however many, maybe not the value, but the runs created through stolen bases, given the opportunity, the amount of opportunities that a player has to steal a base, if that makes sense. So
to me at least.
So like we'll go by the numbers, and then I also have the stolen base totals and the caught stealings of each one. But for reference, so like Carlos Jorge, he is a 1.1 weighted stolen base, so that's slightly above average. Ed Howard, who we talked about earlier, 0.0, which is average. 0 is going to be average. And then Austin's boy, Justin Wiskowski, sorry if I said that wrong.
Nope, you got it right.
Negative 0.1, so that's slightly below average. So you want to have positive run value here. But number one on our list, this should come to surprise of nobody, is Victor Scott II with the St. Louis Cardinals at 11.2. This man stole 94 stolen bases and caught 14 times. Number two, which is pretty intriguing, is Chandler Simpson of the Tampa Bay Rays at 10.2. He stole 94 bases and got caught 15 times. Cam Eden is number 3 with Toronto. And this is how much of a drop-off this had. 7.8 weighted stolen base runs with 53 stolen bases and 4 caught stealings. Jackson Lofton of the Houston Astros had 7.8 with 60 stolen bases and 7 caught stealings. Jonathan Clase, 7.7 with 79 and 15. Taylor Young of the Dodgers is 7.6, 56 and 5 Jonathan Thomas of the Washington Nationals, 6.7 with 65 and 12. Jeremy Aracho, if I said that wrong, I'm sorry, 6.4 with 47 and 4. Drew Baker, 6.3, 49 and 5. And Blake Dunn of the Reds at 6.1 with 54 and 7. Oh, that's a mouthful. Do you guys want to highlight any of these players?
Great. Are you ready for my rant?
Yes.
Oh, I can't wait for this one.
The one that we talked about earlier. So Jackson Lofton at number 4 with 7.8 and a shocking 60 stolen bases versus 7 caught stealing. If you had asked me 3 years ago when I saw Jackson Lofton at Sam Houston that he would be a draft prospect, much less on any list of any kind, I would have said, heck no. So that name right there sticks out a lot. Shows that he developed quite a bit with Oklahoma and that the Astros are doing a great job developing him. So that is a pleasant surprise. And I think a lot of people do really take notice of Chandler Simpson with his 94 stolen bases. And yeah, that drop off between number 2 and number 3 is just pretty incredible.
Yeah, I was gonna highlight. I mean, it might be silly to highlight the guy at number 1, but I was gonna highlight Victor Scott. Because I'm a fan of him overall, not just his speed. I mean, 50 bags at high A last year, only got caught 7 times, and then went up to double A and stole 45 more bases. But I think he's a stud just because not only does he get on not only can he swipe bags as we've discussed, but he hits too. I mean, he hit 323 and in double A this year. So I'm very high on him overall and not just as a base stealer, but very cool to see him at the top of this list. And this is a really cool stat. Like I said, I really had no idea this was a thing. But I would like to see like a major league list of this. Because it's just another way to kind of find value in guys. But anyway, that's another conversation.
Fangraphs, baby. Fangraphs and Baseball Savant. Any day of the week. I guarantee you'll find this same statistic on one of those two.
Yes, sir.
But I actually, there's a few guys on here. Jonathan Clase.
Stud.
Big fan of Jonathan Clase. I don't think that he's going to hit for much the power in the majors that he is hitting with right now. That being said, that man is a stud. I love the speed. I love the hit. What was that, Austin?
He's still a 55 hit with a really good approach. So the stolen base, he's fast as heck. So him getting on base is going to create plenty of opportunities for him to score runs with his speed.
And yeah, that's exactly true. But Austin, this was one name where when I sent you this list, you actually started laughing.
Oh God, what was it? Drew Baker?
Yep. Yeah, Austin. So when I sent you this list, you started to laugh, and that was Drew Baker. And I really want to know what's going on with that.
Yeah, so Baker was a guy that I liked when he was at Texas Tech. I think the athleticism was there. I didn't know if he would hit, though. So seeing him on this list was really shocking to me because when I did see some streams of him later, his hit tool did not look good. I didn't pay attention to him this year. So I guess the Rays are doing something there. But yeah, no, I've always liked his athleticism, but I just remembered seeing him in 2022 and thinking, God, that's a name that I haven't thought about in a long time.
Yeah, that's the Rays do that with everybody. Let's be honest.
Yeah, just imagine what Trey Morgan's going to look like in 2 years.
Oh, goodness gracious. But the last name I want to talk about was Blake Dunn. Now, for the people that don't know who this is, yes, he's older in terms of prospects, but the man had a ridiculous 2023 season. I'm serious. Go look at his stats. Now, I'm not going to add because, again, he's older in terms of prospects, but the man has speed, he has contact, and he's showing power. Right now, it's showing that he might actually be in Cincinnati at some point in either 2024 or 2025. And he'll be 26 either this year or next year. One of those two. But, yeah, go ahead and start getting on the Blake Dunn train because that guy is going to be pretty good soon. All right. So, fellas, to continue with the stat of the day, this is a longer one. And this is all according to Fangraphs. Like I said, Fangraphs, you guys are amazing. You guys, I love your work. yeah, I don't mean to, blush over them, but since 1950, only 22 times have we seen a player have a weighted stolen base of 10 or above. And the highest of all time has been 15 runs above average. And the worst of all time is -5 runs below average. And the fact that we had two guys in 1 year have above a 10 is crazy.
I want to know who the -5 was. Was it Yasmani Grandal?
Oh God, who knows? Really,
I think that was me in college, but whatever.
it was me and Cole. Dang, just going out of the gate with the self roasting over here.
Yeah, no, I was not given the gift of speed.
But
The
it's just
rental was not
crazy
there.
with Victor Scott and Chandler Simpson. Like I get with the whole entire the pickoff rule now, you can't really keep them as close as you want to. And minor league catchers really don't have the best arms
Or
until Yadier Molina Jr. comes out, when he comes, and then he's like, he's already going to be like 14, 15 years old, throwing 110 miles an hour.
Here we go with Drake already overrating a future prospect.
I mean, if he's going to be coming up, I feel like he has to have Wainwright's kid with him.
That
I
is
mean,
true. That is true.
that is true. But yeah, no. You guys have anything on that little statistic right there, or you guys good with the start of the day?
I think we're good.
All right. Now comes the part of the show where we have a lot of hot takes. And when I mean that, I mean we have had guys say Jason Dominguez was overrated. We have had Anthony Volpe overrated. We have had even somebody say Jackson Holiday overrated.
Drew
We
Jones.
have had
I mean,
a lot of
Volpe is
very
overrated.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. I think someone hacked me or something. Someone hacked my computer. That wasn't me.
Hey, I was just about to start praising you, man, for that.
Anyway, moving on.
But let's start with everyone's most overrated prospect going into the 2024 season.
Michael, let's start with you since you're the new guy.
Oh boy, put me on the spot, why don't you? I don't actually. Yeah, no, he still counts. Is it cheating if I use a guy that already has like big league time? Not
No.
too much of it, but like
if he's still considered a prospect, then you're good.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's gonna be Heston Kjerstad.
Interesting.
I just think I don't know. I think there was like a timeline, I guess, if you would, when they picked him. And I loved when the Orioles picked him and, obviously went for the under slot approach, which I think is very smart, when it's done correctly. But I don't know. The numbers, the K rate has only gone up. The power isn't, I don't think, where people thought it would be. The average has gone down. I'm just not. I was on his train, and now I think I've definitely hit the button to get off at the next stop.
Wow, that's interesting because Austin over there is a big Kjerstad fan.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying too, and I can kind of agree with it. I do think that, yeah, the K rate has gone up, but I think that you can't. I mean, but he did have the heart issue and everything.
That is true, and no, you're absolutely right, and I did note that too, but still, you're not wrong. That's not some minor thing to deal with, but.
And no, so I understand where you're coming from, but I think that I can agree with you because, yeah, the development definitely has kind of been up and down, I would say. I do think that he'll be solid, but I can see where he might be overrated. So
yeah, no, I think like it's tough when you're doing like overrated, like when you're talking about overrated players, especially prospects, because like I don't think he's gonna like be a bust. I don't think he's gonna be terrible when he finally gets like in the bigs for good, if you would.
Right.
I just don't think he's gonna be what he was expected to be, I guess, for lack of a better term. But yeah, important to make that distinction.
And that does happen quite often, to be
Sure.
frank.
Well, and also it doesn't help where he was picked in the draft
Yeah, the expectations for
because a
that
lot of
slot.
people
Great
see
point.
top 5 pick and they're like, oh, he needs to be the best person of all time, best player of all time. Like,
Yeah,
there's some guys that carve out solid careers, and they're not like super, super, super incredible players. They just carve out solid careers.
yeah, and like we were talking about the draft earlier, like some teams will pick someone somewhere to, essentially improve the depth and have too much, which is never a bad thing. And sometimes guys get blocked along the way, and they make trades, and things just happen.
Austin, I'm sorry to do this to you, but look at when the Rangers drafted Kumar Rocker. He
Yeah,
looks
no,
like a
that made no
future
sense.
reliever.
That made no sense at the time. But thinking back to it now, the fact that they were able to get Brock Porter, it makes a lot more sense. But no, I distinctly remember when the Rangers got Rocker, I was like, what the heck is this?
All right, so that is interesting, and see, we've had people in the past when we'd have an overrated like idea from a person, the other like the one of our guests would get a little upset with us. But yeah, Austin, what was yours?
Yeah, so this one was kind of tough. There were a few that I was picking between, and this guy, I'm gonna go with Kevin Parada. I know he still has a little bit of hype left,
Ooh.
and I get that he's in the Met system, so there's more publicity there and everything, so the expectations are still fairly decent. I just personally think there's way too much risk with Prada. Like, he's not a good defender behind the plate. His arm is below average. He's essentially a power guy, and he's not going to hit for average. I think there's even a chance that he ends up just being a cup of coffee player because he's not going to be able to figure out how to hit better pitching. Obviously he could shut me up and I could be wrong there. I haven't seen much from Parada for him to really give me a feel that he's going to at least be a power bat at the next level. Like, I do think the power is there, but I think it essentially comes down to, will he hit in the bigs? And I think there's far too much risk with his bat, and the fact that he's not a good defender, I'm going to say that he's overrated.
That makes me sad. I have him on one of my dynasty teams.
I'm sorry, Michael.
That's okay.
You can always trade him and get some kind of value while he still has hype.
I might just have to now. I might have to shop him. Maybe there's a. I'm not really like too close with the guys in the league, so maybe there's a Mets fan I don't know about that'll just take them just because they're Mets fans. But anyway,
And then watch him prove me wrong, and you hate me.
right, and then he'll become the next Mike Piazza, and then I'll get really mad. But that's for later.
I'm sorry, that was just hilarious. That makes you a little sad. He's on my dynasty team. Were those your only thoughts on Kevin Prada, Michael?
No, I real quick. I was just gonna say, like, I honestly don't like. I don't disagree with that. Like with that eval or that quick eval, if you would, about him being extremely like very minimal defensively, just like a boomer bust kind of hitter. But at the same time, that seems to be the direction baseball's headed in. So maybe there is a chance for him. But I don't disagree with him necessarily being overrated. No, not at all.
Drake, you're up.
All right, so mine is I think it's gonna ruffle a few feathers here. I got to go with Jordan Beck of the Colorado Rockies. Austin, I know you're high on him. You saw an absolute moonshot when he was in college, but he is not gonna hit for a high average or even an even decent average. He is boomer bust, like Michael. Like I love that term right there, boomer bust. He strikes out a ton. He struck out 142 times in 2023, and he walked 73. But when you factor in how poor the pitching is, in minor league baseball, that should even be a little bit higher, to be honest. But I get the Colorado aspect. He'll hit a lot of power, a lot of home runs in Colorado, but he's not going to hit for average. And also, isn't he like a glorified DH pretty much? Like, he's not really that good of a defender. So it's like, people don't overrate him. He's going to hit for power, but I just don't think that hit tool will ever be anything too special.
Yeah, and I mean, personally, what I've seen from him, I don't think he's going to be a horrible defender. I don't think he'll be a good one, but he does have decent speed. I can definitely agree with him being boom or bust. I've clocked him at 55 run times from home to first, but obviously guys can slow down along the way, so I can see that happening with him. But yeah, overall, I would say that I'm not gonna agree with you, but I'm also not gonna disagree with you. I would say I'm gonna wait and see what happens before I say anything.
Micah, you got any thoughts here on Jordan Beck?
I definitely agree with the fact that being in Colorado will help him. But again, like I'll use the phrase again, like a boomer bust guy, a guy who will hit bombs but strike out the next 5 at bats. Like that's like I said, that's kind of the name of the game nowadays. And for someone like me, like I will always be like I will always favor a guy who can go gap to gap and hit the ball the other way, and the more old school approach. Not that I don't like to see home runs, but so yeah, no, being in Colorado helps him. But like I said, like if you have power and you can put the ball over the fence, which you'll be able to do, anything can happen.
I mean, especially in Colorado.
Right, exactly.
You just hit a pop up and that thing flies to dead center field.
It just goes. It's incredible.
It really is. But anyway, now let us move on to the underrated. This is my personal favorite part of doing this overrated underrated, because we get to showcase guys that really aren't that known, or guys that need to be talked about more. And Michael, I'll go back to you on this one. Put you on the spot a little bit again.
I don't know. This guy, you guys might get mad at me because this guy really isn't that underrated, but he's sort of underrated because he's in the Rockies system, and I don't think enough attention gets paid to the Rockies system. So you can yell at me if you want, but I'm gonna go with Adele Amador.
I actually kind of like that.
I'm not gonna yell at you.
He's like, I mean, I think he's not like a super deep cut from a farm system by any means, but I was actually right honestly before we started recording, I was watching video of him. His swing is just really smooth, but there's pop there. He can put the ball over the fence, but he can also drive it into the left center field gap if he needs to. The speed is it's there. It's not gonna wow you. I mean, he's still 26 bases in A ball. Then when he went to high A, only 12. But low K rate, not the best showing once he got to double A, but an incredibly small sample size, only 10 games. So I'm really, really high on him, and I'm excited to see how he transitions, because I'm assuming he'll have a majority of his year in double A this year and maybe even move his way up. So I'm really excited to follow him and see what comes of him, because I like the tools are there, the athleticism's there. So really high on Amador.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I love Adele Amador, and honestly, the Rockies have a bit of a problem with Tovar already there, and Amador coming, and Diane Jorge coming too. It's crazy how deep they are at short and second.
Dion's a stud.
But Austin, go ahead. I see you have two on yours, and I've seen one, but I have not seen the other. So go ahead and say your two.
Yeah, so both of my guys are pitchers, and the reason why I went ahead and put two is because I am basing this off a microscopic sample size, but this first guy is going to be Zach Quinn. I'm not sure if I butchered that or not, but I did see an outing.
I think it's Ken.
Kin? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Zach Kin. I did see an outing of his in the ACL, and I saw him throw a curve, and I was just in the moment. I thought this has potential to be a really good curveball, and he's essentially not talked about at all. And he did perform fairly decently at the ACL, and I do think that he's going to be a guy who's going to spend 2024 in low A. So I'm excited to see him throw more innings. But yeah, so I can't really use him as an underrated since it was a small sample size, but I wanted to go ahead and just mention him and try and build up some hype because that curveball is just nasty. Like he just dropped a hook and threw it with confidence. So I'm pretty excited for Zach Kin. But I guess the real underrated pick that I have is Aiden Curry. He was an undrafted free agent signing in 2020, and he's got a pretty good slider. He's 90 to 94, tops out at 95, at least in the outings that I saw in low A streams. And I think that worst comes to worst, he would probably be a guy who could come in and throw like 1 to 2 solid innings of relief. But I do kind of see him as being a back end starter for the Rangers potentially. And essentially nobody talks about him. So he's definitely my underrated.
Yeah, that is interesting because I remember you were when you came out here to help me with footage and all that stuff, and I unfortunately had to work, which that was annoying. But you were like, "Hey, you texted me. I think you said something like, "Hey, this Zach Kin guy's pretty good." I'm like, "Oh well, maybe I could try to get video." And he never pitched when I went to games, so unfortunately, rip on that one. But my underrated, he does get talked about a little bit, but he needs to get talked about a lot more. This is another guy that we both saw at Complex League. Austin, I know how much you love him. I'm going with Sebastian Walcott, the 17-year-old in the Ranger system. The reason why I'm calling him underrated is no one is talking about his 2023 season. So he advanced all the way to high A, albeit a very, very, very small sample size. But what he did as a 17-year-old in the ACL, he put up a basically average weighted runs created plus of 100. But when you factor in, he's facing guys that are 1 to 3 years older than him, and even sometimes 4 and 5 years old or older than him. That is very impressive. He's smooth at short. He has so much power potential in his bat. His bat is very raw at the current moment, but he's going to be something else with the Rangers, man. Like they need to figure something out to get him way more. People need to start understanding how good Sebastian Walcott is going to be, and I
Yeah,
will end it right there. If you guys want to talk about him,
you failed to mention he also has a strong arm at short. He makes really good throws. I think there's inconsistencies in his throwing from short, but the arm strength is there. And yeah, even if he's not gonna hit for a super high average, the guy just he's a hard out to get, and he hits really good raw power, excellent raw power. Just he's gonna develop into essentially an all-star caliber player, I feel. And yeah, just already at high A, I can see him getting, or I can see him starting at low A to start 2024, since it was a very small sample size this season. And he did look a little bit overmatched, but he can always hit his way back up to high A. He will only be 18. So yeah, Sebastian Walcott is just amazing.
Michael,
Yeah,
you have
no,
anything on Walcott?
I think that sums it up pretty well. Love the bat speed, love the build, and obviously the width needs to kind of get eliminated a little bit. But as you said, he's playing against guys that are 3-4 years older than him, and he's not even close to being 19 yet. So obviously a lot of time to fix that. But yeah, all the tools are there, power's there. I think it's a great pick, and I think you're exactly right. A guy that definitely a lot more people should be talking about.
I'm gonna sound like an old head when I say this, but this guy plays with a lot of swagger. And if you look at our video on Prospects Worldwide on YouTube, he hits an absolute moonshot to left field, and he sits there walking and admires the crap out of it. and then all you see is a bat flip. And oh my goodness, when I saw that live, open side, everything, that's what impressed me the most about Walcott is like the way that he plays, the flair that he plays with, like, and that's what ACL. That's what I love about ACL. You see guys like this just pop up out of nowhere.
And to add on to that, the game that I went to by myself at the ACL for the Rangers, I was walking out of the gate waiting for my Uber since you were at work. And I did walk next to the team, and I just see this towering figure, and that was Sebastian Walcott. And he does walk around with a lot of confidence, so you can just see that he's built for success.
Can't wait to see that man develop. Now, this is probably going to be the longest portion of our podcast so far, which I hope everybody is enjoying it. I hope everybody had a good holiday. It's time to get back, to work and school and all that type of stuff. But this is
Not
our
for me, I
2023 recap. What?
Not for me, I graduated. I went from a graduate to unemployed within a matter of seconds.
Welcome to life, buddy. But this will be a 2023 recap from each of us. We only have 4 categories. Who would like to start us off with this?
I guess I'll go up first. So for the first category, which is the favorite prospect that we saw, I actually have 2 because I did see Langford in college and we caught his debut where he had 2 hits, including a double. And that was very exciting to see Langford in his pro debut. And I did see him at A&M, and he hit an absolute nuke. And you could just see the energy that he had after hitting that nuke. So Langford is a guy to, my favorite prospect that I saw live, but another guy that I think could really blossom at some point that I saw at Sam Houston, since I covered a ton of their games, is going to be Joe Redfield. He's a guy that's a really good athlete, plus runner, good defender in center. I do think that he might end up moving to a corner outfield spot, but I can see him sticking in center. I just think that his hit and his power, I think he's got good raw power, although he doesn't hit the ball particularly hard. I do think that the ball does come off the bat harder than the stats show, or the advanced stats show. So I think that he's a guy where if the Angels, or if he gets moved, whoever works with him enough, he's a guy that could just come out of nowhere, because he came out of nowhere with Sam Houston and ended up going to the Cape, had a really good Cape, and ended up getting picked in the 4th round. So I think that it was so much fun getting to see him in 2023, and I got to interview him for a class, so that was really cool. But yeah, those 2 are my favorite prospects that I saw in 2023.
All right, Michael, who is your favorite that you either saw live or on a stream or even had some time in MLB?
Wilyer Abreu is going to be my pick. I actually did get the chance to see him in a spring training game down in Florida, and he just mashed a double that would have been a home run in certain ballparks. But I love his build. There's a lot of power there, and I think there's a lot left to be unlocked. Really smooth swing. Defensively, I think a little bit lackluster, especially compared to some of the other guys, especially outfielders that have come out of the Red Sox system. But I'm a big fan of the bat, and like I said, I saw him. Was actually sitting open side too, open side of his swing, and the hitting mechanics are definitely there. So and he was able to get up with the Red Sox late in the season, so not sure where he's going to fit in coming into next year. It could potentially be like a bench depth bat to start, but very high on him and very excited to watch him continue to progress.
Very, very, very interesting too. I'm gonna go with one guy that a lot of people know about because of how much he got hyped last year, I'll say. Or even before 2023. 2022, people were talking about this guy. I'm gonna talk about Lazaro Montes. And not only does he have arguably some of the most raw power, not only does he have some of the best power at Complex League, but the man is just built like a tank. Like it's crazy, his build, his swing. the fear that he packs into pitchers' minds, and literally, he is everything that you want in a traditional power hitter. And I think by the end of 2024, I think he develops a pretty decent eye at the plate, and he becomes a really big rising prospect for the Mariners. Because I will talk about some of the highlights that I got of him when I watched him live. But yeah, Montes would have to be my pick. All right, fellas. So our next 2023 recap will be the least favorite prospect that you saw. And Austin, I'll let you take this one again.
Yeah, so I don't know if this is really going to count because I personally wouldn't even consider him a prospect anymore, but he has yet to debut, and I doubt that he will. So I'm going to go ahead and use him for this, but that's going to be Jamison Hanna, who we saw at the Complex League, I believe, for a rehab assignment. I used to like Hanna. I saw him at DBU, and he's just essentially gone nowhere. So he didn't look that good even at the Complex League, and he's already like, what, 25, 26. So, yeah, I don't really have any other names. So, sorry, Jameson, you're the target for today.
Wow. Poor Jameson. But anyway, Michael, who's yours?
Yeah, no, my pick is kind of in a similar vein to Austin's. A guy that, just hasn't gone anywhere and probably isn't going to go anywhere. Another guy from the Red Sox system, but I actually saw him pitch at AAA back in August, I think. Taylor Broadway is his name. He's like 26 years old. He's been in the minors his whole career. I think the White Sox drafted him, and then he made his way over to the Red Sox. I'm not even sure what trade or how he got here, but I'm not impressed. Like I said, I saw him pitch an inning. I don't think he got out of the inning because I think he walked 3 or 4 people, and just lackluster stuff. Obviously, no command. So yeah, it doesn't look too good for Taylor with his future prospects. So yeah, not a fan of Mr. Broadway, unfortunately.
So Michael, I just looked it up, and he came from the Reese McGuire, Jake Diekman trade. He went to the Red Sox as a player to be named later.
Oh, the carjacker.
That explains why he watching him throw. He screams player to be named later.
So you got traded for the carjacker. That's interesting.
Yeah. We got Reese. Diekman was. Oh my God, he was a headache, or he was a heart attack waiting to happen when he was on the mound.
Jesus.
All right. Well, this is one guy that Austin warned me about. He said he is going to be bad because I'm not a fan of him. I'm like, okay, I'll give him a chance. And mind you, this was Arizona Complex League, and he is, I believe, 24 years old. His name is Wyatt Crenshaw. And let's just say I got free air conditioning with how many times he swung and missed. I don't mean to be that mean to Wyatt Crenshaw because I don't want to break down anyone's dream playing in the MLB, but my goodness, I just think it was an automatic out every time I saw him. And again, when you're 23, 24 years old, you should be absolutely dismantling the Complex League because you're facing a bunch of teenage pitchers.
That is, I don't even remember telling you that, but it sounds like something I would say.
Like I may be negative here, Wyatt, prove me wrong, go do something. But yeah, I'm sorry, I did not enjoy watching you in the 2023. Yeah, just with my luck, he'll probably turn into some stud that hits 30 bombs a year, and then I look like a jack. You know what? But anyway, we're gonna move forward here with any highlights that you guys had when you guys watched the game, watched the stream, anything that made you just pop out on a player. Mike or us, either of you can go first.
I'll go first on this one. So as far as streams are concerned, I did get to see Ethan Salas's first pro hit. So that was definitely a highlight. I would say that getting to see Joe Redfield hit some bombs at Sam Houston and then getting picked kind of as an out of nowhere prospect That was another highlight. And then definitely the biggest two were getting to see Sebastian Walcott at the ACL and then also catching Wyatt Langford's pro debut. I also got to see Caglianone pitch and hit in the same game. So that was a lot of fun. But I also really enjoyed Shriners in 2023. And yeah, I think that's, before I continue to ramble, I think that's gonna sum up what my highlights were.
All right, Michael.
Yeah, I don't really have too many highlights. I didn't really catch too many streams over the course of last year. But I guess one highlight was I actually did get to see Bobby Dahlbeck get a standing ovation from a crowd, which I never thought I would see. But Bobby Dahlbeck is actually a legend in AAA. I'm not sure if any of you knew that.
I did not know that.
But I didn't realize that either. But if you look at his numbers, he is too good for AAA, but he's not good enough for the MLB.
So he's a 4A player.
Right. But boy, I mean, excuse me, I went to the game in August and they were playing whoever the Phillies team is. He was hitting like 300, had close to 30 home runs. He was hitting third, and like he came to the plate I mean, you would have thought David Ortiz was coming up. I mean, place went nuts, which I found very funny because of the fact that he literally can't hit a beach ball at the major league level. So yeah, I know that's not really like that. That's kind of stupid, but it did really actually stick out to me. So yeah, I actually saw Bobby Dolbeck get a standing ovation. But other than that, in terms of in-person highlights or stream highlights, not too much to share, unfortunately.
Okay, okay, that has to be one of the funniest moments in Prospects Overload history.
I think, and obviously there's bias because I am a Red Sox fan, but I think that's noteworthy.
No, it's just amazing the way that you said it. I actually saw Bobby Dahlbeck get a standing ovation.
Yeah, I mean that's something
exactly, because I mean you would think you think I was gonna say like hit a grand slam or get a hit. No, I just watched him get clapped for.
And I mean, yeah, that is something that you don't see every day, is minor league fans cheering, much less a standing ovation.
Right, and like it makes you feel bad for the player because it's like you don't really want to be like the town hero for the AAA team. You want to get out of there as fast as you can and stay out of there. But anyway.
Drake?
All right. So basically I have just this list here. Living in Arizona, you get unlimited baseball all year long, except for a couple months during winter. But you basically have a lot of high school, college, complex league, fall league. I have a lot of things I wanted to highlight. The first and foremost, that was probably the most, and all of these are on our Twitter and YouTube, so you guys can go check them out if you guys read this podcast. But Lazaro Montes, who I said earlier, 118-mile-an-hour home run off the bat. That was pretty impressive because I remember when they said it was 118, I just looked over the dugout and said, did he really say 118? And one of the coaches said yes. Lazaro Montes had a 118-mile-per-hour home run, and it was glorious.
Can I
in
ask
the
a
same
question?
game? Yeah.
What did that sound like?
I have video, and it is on our Twitter, and it sounded like a cannon was going off after he hit it. It was absolutely, and again, Montes is 18 years old.
That is the first thing I'm watching after this.
Oh, I have one more highlight that I'd like to throw out there.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to keep my mouth shut, but Drake, because I know you're all over the GCU bandwagon, I would say that one of the biggest moments for me early in the year was seeing Sam Houston State trample Grand Canyon to reach the NCAA postseason, where they would fall to OSU. But still, GCU won the conference, and they couldn't even beat Sam Houston. So, haha and ha.
Okay, I'm gonna go there. I'm not on their bandwagon. I'm physically gonna go to GCU, but okay. Anyway, Walcott homered in the same game, and that was when I was talking about where he bat flipped it. It was glorious. Bryce Eldridge, the 2023 draft pick of the Giants, walk-off 3-run bomb, also on Prospect Worldwide's Twitter. I think that
That
got
blew up our Twitter.
127,000 views or something. Like, it was
And like
crazy.
a few hundred likes. Like we were getting notifications probably for what, an hour straight?
An hour straight, and probably like 2, 3, 4 days afterwards, we were still
Yep.
getting notifications. I'm gonna butcher this name, and I'm so sorry, but Charlie County. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. Another walk-off home run, 3-run home run, and honestly, those were like 2 or 3 games apart, right? I can't remember, Austin, but I think it was like 3 games apart. And that one also got a couple, like 20,000 views, something like that. This one's actually not as worthy, but it is still pretty cool. Kendall George and Dylan Head had a little hitting display. Both of them had multi-hit games, and they were facing off against each other. That was really fun to watch. This was at AFL. Kyle Manzardo and Chase DeLauder, 7-hit game between the two of them, and that was just crazy to watch because I had a double header that day, and it was fun, but yeah, I was really tired that night. And then we also caught multiple first pro home runs, or stateside home runs, I should say, of Montes's 118 off the bat, Caleb Colley or Callie, Carson Jones, and many others. So that was just this year of Prospects Worldwide was absolutely nuts viewer wise. We passed 4,000 followers. We had more people watch our Instagram. We had more people watch our YouTube. We're just this year we really grew, and that was something that I was really happy to see in 2023. And I hope 2024 will be much, 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 much bigger for us too.
And this happened at the tail end of 2023, but we also added our guy Michael over here. So another highlight.
He's gonna
Yeah,
get us 20,000 views, just like Mr. All these walk-off home runs.
Yep.
Yeah. But
I don't know if I can promise 20,000, but I'll do my best.
all right, well, that's all I can ask of you. But anyway, we're gonna start closing this down. 2024 prospect that you're hyped about, Austin. Your first go.
Yeah, so this guy I'm really hyped about. He's a 2024 draft guy. I remember after Kauser had departed with the draft, he was my guy for 3 years at Sam Houston, and I was looking for a new prospect to get behind on the Sam Houston squad. And I remember opening day of 2022 and seeing Walker Yannick. He was only a freshman at the time, and I thought in my mind, this is my guy. And now he's being tabbed as one of the best college backstops for the draft in 2024. So I am definitely excited to see what he can do in 2024. He will be facing better pitching competition as Sam Houston has transitioned to Conference USA. So if he can hit there, I think that's going to solidify his chances of being a first round pick. I can see him being more of a third or fourth round pick, so early day 2, but I'm very, very hyped to see him considering I've seen his development since he was a freshman.
Yeah, interesting. Michael, who's your pick here?
Well, if you guys remember our conversation about the Red Sox rising prospects, then you're going to know exactly who I'm taking here because he's one of my favorite prospects in the Red Sox system. And it is I'm not going to say the man, the myth, the legend just yet, but it is Yordany Monegro. He is, if you're a Red Sox fan listening to this and you don't know who this guy is, finish listening, of course, but then go watch any highlight video of him, and I defy you to tell me why you won't fall in love with him after just watching one clip of this guy. This guy, you want to talk about swagger and energy? He will release the pitch and already be talking to you in the box, and he will not stop until the inning is over. It is just awesome to see. He just has so much energy, so much passion. I kind of relate it to sort of like the presence that a guy like Juan Soto has when he's in the box, just on the mound. And obviously, to go off of that, the stuff is there too. He's got a really good fastball that's only going to get better as he gets older and gets stronger. Really like the deception he can create, and I love the off-speed movement that he's got so far. That, as I said, is only going to get better. So Yordany Monegro, he's probably going to be high A, maybe double A to start the year, but this guy's going to make barring something unforeseen, going to make a big jump, I think, in the Red Sox system, and a name to definitely keep your eye out for.
Yeah, so bouncing off what you're saying, I actually remember when you said to look up a highlight. His curve is just filthy. Like the hook, the spin, everything is there for the potential for it to be at least a plus pitch, maybe a 70 pitch. I did remember seeing one outing of him in low A. It came back to me later, and I just remember that, yeah, just the swagger that he has on the mound and his ability to carry himself, his confidence, and he's just an all-out gamer. So yeah, Monegro is freaking amazing.
Very excited, and Red Sox fans should be too.
That is very interesting, and the fact that he talks trash as soon as he releases the ball, it's just kind of hilarious, and I love pitchers that do that. But my guy is I already talked about Sebastian Walcott. Let me just say, this guy arguably had a better year than Sebastian Walcott. It is Rafael Ramirez Jr., and he at the time was 17 years old, just like Sebastian Walcott. Let's just say his WRC plus was 33 points higher, and he got on base at a clip of 453 as a 17-year-old in Arizona Complex League. And I know that doesn't sound that impressive when you factor in that the pitching at Arizona Complex League is absolutely terrible, but being 17 and doing that type of production is absolutely crazy to me. And I actually caught another popular video was his double, and you just hear the sound off the bat is just nuts. And again, 17 years old, going to be an absolute stud going in the future. I am hyped for him in 2024. He's with the Guardians, by the way, but absolutely hyped for him in 2024. But anyway, that is it for our 2023 recap. So what we're going to do here to finish this out, 2024, we're a prospect channel, rookie of the year predictions, NL and AL. We'll go AL first. Austin, you go first. Go.
Yeah, so this one is kind of tough, but I'm going to go with a homer pick, and I'm going to say Evan Carter, mostly just because of what he showed towards the end of 2023. I think that he's already proving me wrong with his projection. He hit a lot more line drives than I thought he would. When I saw him at Double A, I felt that he hit the ball on the ground too much, so I thought the potential was there, but I didn't think that he would have quite the power that people were hoping for. But I think he's essentially shut me up, and so I can see him having a really strong season that wins him the Rookie of the Year. I would also venture to say that Langford could win it, depending, and then possibly Holiday, but my certain answer is Evan Carter.
All right, Michael.
Yeah, well, he's also spoiled the surprise, but my pick's going to be Jackson Holiday. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to it will come down to either him or Evan Carter. I do also see Langford maybe sneaking in there, but that will obviously take a lot. That is definitely more of a long shot. Yeah, but I'm gonna go Holiday. I just think it's like, I think the tools are all there. I think he just fits really well into that young Orioles lineup. So I think he's gonna have a really strong year. A little bit biased because I also have him on my fantasy team, but still, I think it's Holiday in the AL.
So I'm gonna go with probably the biggest steal in any trade that has happened in the last 2 or 3 years. Let me make sure that this was 2021 this trade happened. The Rays acquiring Junior Caminero for Tobias Myers, who's not even with the Guardians anymore. I am going with Junior Caminero, probably one of the best prospects in baseball, which we already knew that. But again, it's the Rays. They're going to keep developing him. And they lost Wander Franco for probably the rest of his career.
Rip.
Caminero steps in right there. And it's just crazy. I think he's your AL Rookie of the Year. So, guys, now we're going to go with the NL one. And Michael, I'll let you take this one. Who do you think it's going to be?
I'm gonna go with MiLB Marte. I I think I was super impressed with what he did when he was able to get to the majors last year for the brief stint. I know the big concern with him is his not inability, but just his lack of launch when he at the plate doesn't really lift the ball too much. Definitely more of a straight line drive hitter. So I would like to see more launch, which would obviously create more pop, more home runs. But the hit tool is obviously there. I think he's going to have a really strong year, and I'm going to take him. I think the popular pick will probably be Skeens, but I'm going to go with Marte here to go a little against the grain.
Okay, Austin.
So I'm gonna go with not really an obvious one, but I think it could be a popular one as well. I'm gonna roll with Jackson Chourio as the NL Rookie of the Year. He did sign that extension before even having played a game. And based off what I've seen, I think he could have a really strong year. I think it's going to depend on his start, honestly, how well he adjusts. But he's a 70 runner plus defender and center, and plus power plus hit. I think that everything is there. That if he gets off to a hot start, he's really going to build up the consideration for Rookie of the Year. And if he finishes with, let's say, 20 home runs and hits around 260 while providing that plus defense and stealing a handful of bases, I think that he has a legitimate shot at winning the NL Rookie of the Year.
All right. So mine comes out from left field a little bit. I don't know if this guy's going to debut in 2024. Actually, I have a couple picks, but I'm going to go with this one. My pick is going to be Jackson Merrill of the San Diego Padres. The hit tool is absolutely insane. He hits everything. He's a solid prospect. So their outfield right now consists of Fernando Tatis Jr. and Jose Azocar. So who are they going to put in left? And who are they going to put in center? Well, obviously trades. This is bearing a trade or anything. But I think that they try to fit Jackson Merrill in left field, and then they get him in the lineup to be that contact guy, especially in Petco. That gap-to-gap power that he has is going to be something special. Now, and I know that this would be a little bit of cheating, but I also want to talk about one other guy who possibly could debut in 2024, in Robbie Snelling. I think I just watched a outing of his, and the guy's stuff is just insane. And when you factor both these guys I'm talking about are 20 years old, it's insane how good his stuff is. But again, I don't know if either of these two are going to debut in 2024. The Padres have been known to be very aggressive with their prospects. It remains to be seen how aggressive the Padres will be, especially with other guys like Ethan Salas, Dylan Lesko, Drew Thorpe, a bunch of other guys that could possibly debut in 2024.
To bounce off that, if Merrill is a contender by the end of the season, I can see that happening, but that is a big if. But yeah, his hit tool is just outstanding. He uses the whole field. He has home run power, but he can hit the ball to the fence. Hits the really hard exit velos. Just I think it's just a matter of how soon they call him up, or if they call him up at all. But that was a name that I didn't have thinking that, but I can see that happening if he does get called up in time.
Michael, you want to say anything on that or no?
No, excuse me. I could definitely see it happening. I still think Skeens would probably be my second pick. I know that's basic, but I think he'd be my number 2 behind Marte. But yeah, no, you do make a good point about like what is San Diego going to do now that they don't have Grisham and they don't have Soto. So I definitely see where you're coming from, and I don't disagree with it at all. But yeah, no, I think that's.
I actually have a pretty hot take. I'd rather have Robbie Snelling than Paul Skeens.
That is certainly a take.
Robbie Snelling stuff Like, I'm just saying, like, I know Austin's a fan, I'm a fan. I know Skeens is crazy, like good, like, but Snelling is crazy as well. But that is just my that's my bold take for 2024.
All right. Yeah, fair enough.
Very bold. But
Fair
yeah,
enough.
no, if you watch Robbie Snelling, just know he has 3 pitches, but technically his curveball is also a slider. So I'm writing a report on him right now, and I'm hoping to get that up soon. But yeah, no, Robbie Snelling has basically a slurve, but it is masterful. So, but
And
yeah, no,
I
that's
do think Snelling could be a front end guy for San Diego. Him and Lesko in the front of the rotation, front to mid end rotation is just gonna be nasty.
100%. And then you got Ethan Salas coming through too.
But
And then you got
remember Drake, the
Lee.
Padres don't have prospects.
If you're still saying that in 2024, please go do research because they're about to sign one of the top international free agents as well. So, yeah, if you're still saying that, yeah, please go ahead and go do research because I think a lot of people are saying they have like 6 in the top 100 now.
Just about.
Of everyone, like it's crazy. And then they also have Paulie and Marcy that are borderline ready for MLB too. So that got way off way out of hand there. I was about to close it, but I just wanted to say my Robbie Snelling take. But anyway, guys, I think that will do it for today. As always, my name is Drake Mann. You could follow me on Twitter at DrakeMann4. Austin, go ahead and close it down and plug anything you want to plug.
Yeah, this was a blast. First time we've done one in 7 months. I'm glad that we were all finally able to get together and talk about some of our favorite moments. This was definitely one of the best episodes we've had, I would say. And you can follow me on Twitter, now known as X. That's how much time has surpassed since we've done one of these. It was still called Twitter back in the day, but you can follow me there at AustinF0421.
And Michael, the special guest, the man of the hour, the Red Sox fan, the guy that has went through more pain than any of us. No offense. Do you have anything to plug? Want to close it down?
No, I'm like I said, really happy to be a part of this. Had a great time, and yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Michael Murray J. That is like my 3rd Twitter account because I had account issues with the old one. But yeah, Michael Murray J. I will definitely start being more active on it once I start getting going with you guys. But anyway, before I go off on a tangent, so good to be here. Hopefully, looking forward to being on a few more. But yeah, had a great time tonight.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, man. We're happy to have you as well, and can't wait to do this again, folks. Peace and have a good 2024.
Peace, everybody.
Later.